hear a lot about diabetes. We also hear a lot about hypertension. But we address that in a way as if that's the big thing. Really, all of those things are a byproduct of something else that's actually happening in the body. So I'm going to go into all of that, and I'm going to teach you what that is, so that you can actually take proper measurements to deal with obesity, hypertension, diabetes at its root cause, not dealing with the symptoms and this thing keeps going on, and you think you have to have this prescription-based lifestyle to deal with these types of things. All right? So, without further ado, so in this country, right, we talk a lot about how we have the obesity epidemic and all the things that are going on with that. But the truth of the matter is we really do not have an obesity epidemic. What we have is a lack of muscle tissue epidemic, right? Because it's actually muscle tissue that will naturally just burn body fat for you if you have more of it on you. So we don't actually have an obesity epidemic. We have a lack of muscle tissue epidemic that's going on, which transfers into something that's called a metabolic dysfunction. A metabolic disorder, right? So what we actually are dealing with is metabolic disorders. Our metabolisms are not functioning the way that they're supposed to. And therefore, since our metabolisms aren't functioning right, the byproduct of it is diabetes, hypertension, and obesity, to name a few of the things that we end up suffering from. All right, so we understand that, we address the metabolism, a lot of this stuff goes away. So, just to understand better what a metabolic disorder is, it's a condition characterized by disruptions in normal metabolic processes, which involve the conversion of food into energy, the storage of nutrients, and the removal of waste products. In other words, the body is unable to break down and utilize energy throughout the body and to remove waste. And if this doesn't get addressed in a timely fashion, it increases the likelihood that we develop these other diseases, right? So it really comes down to healing our metabolism to resolve all of these other issues that are ongoing in this country that we have. And just to give some insight, some percentages for men and women in this country, just how unhealthy we are, especially for men of color, right? 56.8% of men of color over the age of 20 have hypertension. 40% of men of color die prematurely from cardiovascular disease compared to non-men of color. 44% of men of color are overweight, and 24% of them are obese. 80% of men of color are likely to be diagnosed with diabetes than non-men of color. In terms of women have the highest rate of obesity or being overweight compared to other groups in the United States. So basically, about 4 out of 5 women of color are overweight or obese. In 2013, it was 1.3 times more likely, the woman was 1.3 times more likely to be obese compared to non-women of color. Also in 2018, women of color were 50% more likely to be obese. I wrote the same thing. So I wrote that back. But basically, what we're dealing with is we are significantly and grossly overweight, right? Now, if you've been following the trends in the fitness industry in the last 20 years, the fitness industry in itself has boomed, it's exploded. It was making approximately about 13 billion 20 years ago. Now it's making like 40 billion. But you would think if the fitness industry is being more profitable, people are getting healthier. But the opposite is happening. What's actually happening is obesity is going up, hypertension is going up, diabetes is going up. To be exact, in 2000, so in the consensus from 2000 to 2010, obesity increased, and then from 2010 to 2020, it went up again. So within that same time frame, if the fitness industry has exploded and made more money, people are actually getting unhealthier. And that is a lot because they're trying to make people solve the problem of the symptom, educate you on the actual problem. Just to ask you guys real quick, how many of you have heard of a metabolic disorder before? You've heard of it before? And did you know what it was?
I don't know what it was. I heard the term.
You may have heard the term.
Yeah.
But you never heard it being tied into obesity, hypertension, and diabetes. It's exactly what it is. But they don't teach us that. So you may hear it, but they don't tie it in and let you know, oh no, you're dealing with a metabolic issue. Your metabolism is what you need to address. But what we do is we think it's all about weight loss. But what we fail to realize is that a lot of times to lose weight, you actually can damage your metabolism if you don't go about it the right way.
That's true.
And what do we end up having in this country, right? What was it, from 2005 to 2015, the most popular show was what? Biggest Loser. What was that all about? Losing weight as fast as you possibly can, which is horrible. But it set the precedence of everybody thinking that's what it should look like. I should be going as hard as I can, sweating and pushing myself to make the scale drop as fast as possible. That is the fastest way to destroy your metabolism, to end up having these diseases later in life. Things may feel good in that moment, but it doesn't compound and it's not long lasting, right? So it's almost like you're satisfying something in the moment that's actually going to make things harder for you in the long run, right? And that is a big thing that they market to people. So when I talk to a lot of people when it comes to, I just ask you guys, so like, if someone said to you, hey, how would you heal your metabolism? What are some things that you would have to do if you wanted to heal your metabolism?
Start consistently working out.
Exercise. What kind of exercise?
Running.
Calisthenics.
Calisthenics, running. Those are the lower options. So there's things that are going to be more optimal, but those are like the lowest. They're better than you sitting on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of what's optimal in hitting metabolism, it's not going to be the most optimal.
So I work out maybe 3 to 4 times a week. I have a hypothyroid and high metabolism. They actually work together for now, but they said eventually I'm going to have to take pills for the rest of my life once I start taking them. Hence, I stay in the gym and trying to do what I have to do. When I look at, what you said, how do I help my metabolism? The only thing I do is try to eat. I eat moderate. I eat bad food, but I eat enough of it for where I eat more good food here. I cook it. I know what's the ingredients that I put in my food. So it starts from the food, to the workout, to my everyday stress level. I try to get stuff off my plate because my brain does this. I wanted to slow down a little bit, so I see like 20 things on the back. These get 10 of them before lunch. The other 10 before the end of this, before I go sleep.
Right.
So I try to do it up here first. Well, that's how I do it, only because of my condition, my situation.
Gotcha. So in other words, it sounds like you try to reduce your stress levels.
I try to keep it good. I had a very stressful job at one point in my life where it was killing me. So I was making good money, but it was killing me.
Right.
And I didn't have the weight I have now. I'm at 172. My happy weight is 165. When I first started the job and ended the job, I was at 152.
Wow.
And my nutritionist said, oh, that's your perfect weight. I didn't feel comfortable walking down the street. 165, I felt comfortable.
Right.
Even at 172, I feel comfortable.
Right.
But I didn't feel comfortable at lighter weight. I can lift more, I can punch, I do boxing, taekwondo, now I do tai chi, and all these things incorporate my happiness. I look for happiness versus stress.
Right.
That helps better with the workout.
Right. And what I'm hearing from that is what you're doing, it sounds more sustainable.
Yes.
It's actually bringing you a greater benefit than just the aesthetic.
4 a.m. in the morning, nobody's bothering me, my wife don't bother me, I get out the bed, and my son's still in the bed, like 3:30, I'm up, by 4 o'clock I'm out the house, by 4:35 I'm in the gym, by 6:30 I'm back in the house to take my son to school. And I do that at least 3 or 4 times a week, if I can. I was doing it at 5, but
It's a lot.
changing my work, I work for me, so my work hours change based on, time. This is busy.
Gotcha. Now that's a good point you made. So, a lot of things that we get marketed to, just on TV and social media ads that they're trying to get people to do to help with their metabolism. You hear a lot about fasting, right? You hear about different detoxing diets that you need to do. They talk about supplements all throughout. They take all different types of pills, and also cardio. But these things either are going to do the complete opposite, it's going to sabotage your metabolism, or it's going to do it just enough that, I'm not lying that it doesn't help, but it's not really helping that significantly, right? And that's what kind of cardio may fall into that realm. It's like, it's better than doing nothing, right? But it's not really helping you build enough of your metabolism. And then there's multiple other things that they will promote from like teas that will help us called boosting the metabolism. But there's a difference between boosting it and healing it. Boosting it is like it will elevate 30 minutes and you'll burn like an extra 15 calories. So technically, I'm not lying, you will burn more, but it's like not that much.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Your kids are here?
Yes,
Trinidad Carlos.
Ajá.
¿Cómo se llama?
Sandra y Isabel.
I'm gonna bring. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Quick question.
Yeah, sure.
I tried to say it before, but they said something about take care of the gut that helps with your metabolism and everything else.
That is.
Gut treatment, that's where fasting and stuff comes in, because if you fast and drink a certain thing to clean your gut up,
Absolutely.
it works out the rest.
Well, so yes and no, right? So there's part truth to that, but the gut health can impede you from improving your metabolism, but in and of itself, it can't just completely heal it and build it by itself. It needs the assistance of other things as well. So you could improve your gut health, and you can detoxify, and you can get rid of a whole bunch of other things, but your metabolism in and of itself needs its own protocol as well. So gut health just wouldn't completely restore the metabolism or even improve your metabolism in it by itself. But it is definitely a part of the puzzle. It's definitely a part of the puzzle. You can't completely ignore that and just go about, just trying to build your metabolism and not addressing that, right? So, well, let's get really to the specifics, right? So when we talk about being able to build our own metabolism, there's really only one thing that we can actually do that truly helps build it. Now, there are things that supplemental that go along with it, like gut health, but the prime mover is muscle. You have to be able to build muscle on your body. That's the prime mover, right? So in the day, our metabolism is utilizing, is functioning to help with brain, with our liver, right, with our heart. It's doing all of those things. But we can't make it burn more calories by thinking. We can't make it burn more energy from our liver, and we have no control over that. The only thing that we specifically have control over is having more lean muscle tissue on our body. That is the only thing that we have direct control over. Everything else, it needs support from something else. It just can't do it in it by itself, right? So this is why we have a lack of muscle problem, not a necessarily obese problem, because if we focus doing more things that help us build more muscle, that naturally will build our metabolism, right? The more muscle you have on you, your body naturally is going to burn more body fat. On top of all of that, what it's also going to do is when we eat certain foods, like carbohydrates, right? So when we eat a carbohydrate, it gets broken down into stored energy. The first thing that it gets broken down into is into our liver. That's why we get that immediate source of energy, our liver. The next place it goes to is inside the muscle cell. So the larger this muscle cell is, the more of a demand it has for immediate energy, the more of those carbohydrates are going to get stored in the muscle cell. The less demand that it has, the more of those carbohydrates now get stored as fat. So by having more muscle and utilizing this muscle by doing, I think you said Tai Chi or, right? Taekwondo. Boxing, by you having more muscle and then you actively are using it, so you're sustaining it and helping build it more, your body's going like, no, we need to put more of this energy that we're getting in the muscle for immediate energy. So if you're sitting around all day and you're doing things that don't demand a consistent building or demand for energy, it's going to get stored as fat. Simple as that. So this is why cardio is part of the formula, but it's not the main ingredient. Because when we do cardio, it'll burn calories in that moment, but more than likely, when we're breaking down whatever energy we're using, the first bit of energy is going to come from the liver, then it's going to come from the muscle, then after about 20 or 30 minutes, slowly it starts breaking down fat. Fat is not an immediate source of energy, right? We can't just go, just because you're sweating and you're hot and you're running around, your body's still using other immediate sources of energy. Fat's like the last resource. So when we go and we work out, we're not burning fat. It is burning the carbohydrates and stored in your liver and mostly in your muscle. And then usually when it gets too fat, that's when your energy comes down. So you're not even able to move as explosively, as dynamic, because your body needs to recover. Because it's getting, so your body can't move as much because it's getting a slower source of energy, right? So when we go in that mindset, oh, I'm trying to burn the fat, that's not really that's part truth, part lie. Yeah, eventually you'll start burning fat, but that shouldn't be the focus of the goal. The focus of the goal is to continue to build as much muscle as possible so that more of the carbohydrates and the nutrients that we consume goes into the muscle for immediate use, not stored in the body because you've overeaten or you're underactive. Your activity level is just too low. All right? So that's a key ingredient of understanding the metabolism and just how the energy works, because your metabolism essentially the breakdown, how it breaks down energy, how it stores energy, and how it gets rid of energy. That's your metabolism, right? So it's important to understand, like, where is it going? What are we doing with where does the energy go, and how is it mostly utilized based on the activities that we're doing? Shoot.
So if I'm hearing you right, to boost my metabolism, I need to build muscles.
Muscle.
And what's the second thing? Build more muscle. And I could do that by strength training, or how do I build more muscle?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Strength training.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So depending on where you are in your fitness journey, right? So there's something called what we call newbie gains, right? So this is for someone that either just starting to work out, or for someone that hasn't been working out consistently and now they're on a routine. So I think you have mentioned like calisthenics, right? So calisthenics are great for newbie gains. Because if you go from sitting on the couch and not doing anything, you can't do one push-up, for you to build the strength to do 10 or 20, you're gonna gain some new muscle. But eventually that body weight of you moving, it's capped because you're the same weight. And actually, if you're losing weight, you're getting even lighter. So you're not actually putting yourself in what, so to help build muscle, we need to be doing what's called progressive overload. You need to be actually increasing the intensity of the exercise, not reducing it, right? So calisthenics is gonna have a cap at a certain point. It's better than, once again, not sitting on the couch. But if you don't start adding some additional resistance to your push-ups, your pull-ups, your squats, whatever it is you're doing, it's kind of capped. It's not really helping you build any additional muscle, right? So ultimately, you're going to need some form of resistance training to continue to build more muscle. But the key about that is you just don't want to build the muscle. You want to then put it into action. You want to put it into play. That's why it's good when you're talking about the things that you're doing, these additional activities. I call that play, right? So it's like you may go to the gym to do, to help build the body, but then how am I going to show that I've done this, right? That's where the play comes in. So it could be playing soccer, basketball, boxing, whatever, right? You want to now utilize that muscle in a more functional way, right? Just having it on you, but then you're not doing anything with it. That is not going to also help with your metabolism as well. Because you also want to focus on performance, right? Some form of performance to help you monitor your progress as well, instead of doing certain things. And it's good to do certain things just to have fun and just be cool with it. But if you're in a stage where you're trying to heal the metabolism specifically, right, you want to be more calculated about some of those things that you're doing, right, to help really improve and grow. So, shoot that?
I see everybody I go to the gym with a group of people. I've been doing it 3 years now. Now I went before then, but now I have a steady group of people. Now they gonna play basketball. Would that be what you're talking about? Like they steadily come. My gym opens my gym 24 hours. Basketball part opens at 5. So between 5 and 6, people that work out. They don't work out, and they do the basketball. Exactly what you're talking about, though. Just keep us 2 games a week. We'll keep that muscle.
Right. So let's just say your example, right? You may shoot hoops 2-3 times a week, and then you may do some form of weight training, 3 or 4 times a week, right? I mean, so for me, when I'm in a certain season of all right, my activity of choice is going to be basketball. I'm kind of going to cater some of my strength training to cater towards basketball to not get injured and to help me perform even better at basketball, right? So I'm still going to be focused on trying to maintain and build muscle, but I'm also going to be thinking basketball, I do need to have a certain level of mobility throughout my joints. right? When I land, I need my tibialis, my shins, and different muscles to be able to absorb that impact of the landing, and also be able to jump back up, right? So it's like, for me, when I'm starting whatever that play is, my training is going to be something to help me have less likely of an injury, and to help me perform better at that activity, right? So that's when you want to tie that stuff in. I mean, that's going further than just your metabolism. That's like getting into like real structured programming. But to your point, yes, you want to still have something that is now not just the basic structure and strength training, but some type of physical activity that allows you to utilize what you're building, right, in a more functional, real world kind of way, at a higher intensity as well, right? So that's where it's at higher intensity. So there's some lifestyle things that we do, intentionally or unintentionally, not aware of or not, that can help slow down our metabolism. One of those things is extreme calorie restriction, right? I mean, a lot of times you may hear people say, oh, I'm eating like 1,000 calories a day, or 1,200 calories a day. That's how many calories a toddler, 5-year-old child, should be consuming. So if you're consuming 1,200 calories a day, consistently, months and months, this is how you're going, you're just destroying your metabolism, because your body needs nutrients. Like muscle needs nutrients to grow. Muscle does not grow in a consistent state of a deficit. That's just not how the body functions. You need to be at that's the proper term, but at your maintenance, you need to be at maintenance of how much energy you need, or above a surplus for muscle to grow in your body. It doesn't grow in drastic calorie cuts. People skip meals a lot, right? If every day you're skipping multiple meals. I only ate one time today. You're like, oh, I wasn't hungry. There's something called metabolic adaptation. So if you're the type of person that's like, you eat maybe once a day, you're like, yeah, but I'm not hungry. It's because your metabolism said, oh, well, since you're not going to feed me, I'm not going to have this growing demand for energy. Slow down. I'm going to adapt to your lifestyle, and I'm just going to slow down. And I'm not going to burn any extra body fat. I'm not going to be focused on healing anything that in the body needs to be healed. I'm going to go slow as possible, because you don't give me enough energy and nutrients to do all this other stuff for you. So eventually you won't feel the response of hunger. Even though your body needs it, you won't feel it. And a lot of people go off of their feelings when they want to eat. I don't feel like eating right now. But if your body needs those calories and you're aware of what your metabolic rate is, you're basically teaching your body to slow down, right? By skipping meals throughout the day.
So that's a good thing or bad thing?
Medical adaptation, if you're not eating, if your goal is to improve and boost your metabolism, that's not a good thing at all. Mm-hmm. It's not good at all. Skipping meals and slowing down your metabolism is not good. That's not good.
So is that why they say actually you can gain weight?
Yes, you could. That's why it's very key. So after periods of creating a metabolic adaptation, and now your metabolism has slowed down, and then you have these periods where you now eat more. Now your body is like, whoa, where did this come from? I slowed down. Now you're in a much bigger surplus, right? And then that's how you start gaining weight. And you're like, I don't understand. Like, I really don't eat that much. It's because you created this huge deficit to slow down in your metabolism by not having periods of either you're constantly restricting calories or you're skipping meals a lot, right? And I'm gonna get into another one: lack of physical activity. Right? If you're not physically active and you're not moving around much, your body's like, well, I don't need to be at this elevated state of burning all these additional calories and feeding my body and being ready to break down energy if you're not even using it. So once again, it'll slow down, right? That slows your metabolism down by not being physically active. Inadequate protein intake. You can't build muscle without protein. So regardless of whatever source of protein it is, from vegan, vegetarian, regular meat, whatever it is, if you're not getting a certain amount of protein every single day, your body's going to start saying, all right, well, we don't need all this additional muscle that you have, right? To your body, once you go beyond functional muscle, open the door, climb some stairs, everything else is a luxury to the body. It's like, I can get rid of it if you ain't going to use it. And that's how it treats muscle. If you don't use it, it will get rid of it. Because it's like, to the body, it needs nutrients. It needs physical activity for there to be a reason to have this muscle. If not, it's like, well, then I'm gonna focus on other stuff. I'm not gonna keep working on something that you're not even working on. I'm gonna focus on other things that are vital to our survival, right? So that may be brain health or whatever else, hair, skin, heart, whatever, It's gonna focus on these other things. Not getting enough sleep at night. So we don't build muscle in the gym. You break down muscle in the gym. You build muscle in your sleep. So if you don't sleep enough, and even if you work out, you don't sleep enough, you're not giving yourself enough time for the muscle to repair and for it to build and to grow and be stronger. So sleep is another huge thing that can slow down your metabolism if you're not getting enough sleep. Right? So you have to be sleeping on a regular basis. Dehydration. So water is essential for various metabolic reactions. And if you're not hydrating enough, your nutrients aren't going to get put into different parts of the body that it needs to be into to allow that whole metabolic process to occur. So hydration is huge. I don't know if you guys know, but our bodies are mostly water. Our muscles are full of water. So if you don't have water in there, it's going to be a problem. It's similar to a car, right? A car can run off of gas, and you can probably have low oil, minimal to no oil. The car still run, but it won't run as well. Same thing with the body. Hydration is like oil to the body. Yeah, you can run, you can do stuff, but eventually after a period of time, your body's just gonna crash. Similar to a car. If you eventually don't fix your oil, change out your oil, you're gonna have an issue. Chronic stress, I brought this up too. Chronic stress, it throws off your hormones. So one of the other things we talk about gut health, hormone health as well has a lot to do with you being able to build muscle. That's another thing that's not commonly discussed, even amongst men, right? There's things that we should be doing to help build our hormones, right? For the hormones to send these signals to the muscle to grow. Like, there's certain activities that do it and some that don't. This is why we have these messages, this no exercise, you'll be good. No, you have to do very specific exercises for certain hormones to kick in. If you're not doing those exercises, which are on the higher end of strength training or higher end of high intensity type cardiovascular things like sprinting or jumping, these hormones don't kick in. There's no need for them. So managing your stress is important for those hormonal levels. As I already mentioned, lack of strength training. If you're not lifting, if you're not doing things to demand the body to need more muscle, then this won't happen. Excessive alcohol consumption. At the end of the day, regardless of what it is, beer, wine cooler, whatever, it's poison, right? So to your body, alcohol is poison. There's not one benefit of alcohol. It doesn't matter what it is, what you've been marketed to, it is toxic. It is the most toxic thing to your muscles. If you want to lose muscle, drink alcohol. You can work out, you can do whatever you want. But if you consistently, daily, or every couple days, you're consuming alcohol, that muscle is going away. Right? So there's really no other thing around it. I understand they market, a glass of wine is fine. No, that's because the wine industry wants to continue making money. The truth of the matter is, it is sabotage for your health. There's zero benefits of drinking alcohol. Highly processed diets. McDonald's, all the fast foods you can think about, all this stuff that you microwave, all of these types of things have adverse effects to your metabolism, to your gut health, to your hormonal system, all of it. Like, none of these things, some of it they can have a little things that could be positive, which is what they're marketing to you, something that's positive about it, but usually 90% of it is garbage, and it's hurting you more than it's helping you, right? So you have to stay away from those types of things if you want to help build your metabolism. So I just want to talk about some signs that your metabolism may not be functioning well so that you can kind of determine for yourself, right? Now, I want to be clear. Some of these signs could be tied into something else that could be going on with your body, right? So you kind of have to go through a process of really understanding yourself. You may even have to go to a medical professional, but there are some signs that can help you indicate if your metabolism has slowed down. One of those signs is irregular eating patterns. I kind of already discussed it. You can throw off your metabolic rhythm, leading to decreased energy expenditure and potential nutritional deficiencies, right? So, as I discussed before, like infrequently skipping meals, right? Not let your body maybe on a time schedule expecting to eat at certain times, and if you don't feed it, right, that throws off your metabolism, right? If you find that you have fatigue and low energy levels, right? Inefficient energy production can also produce results in like fatigue and having low energy, which makes it then difficult to be motivated to do daily activities and exercise. So if you feel like your energy is low, that could be a sign that your metabolism is low. Caloric restriction challenges. If you're not experiencing expected fat loss, right? If you're like, I'm eating less, right? You may be tracking it on like MyFitnessPal, whatever, and you see, no, I'm clearly eating less, and you're not losing weight. It's probably because you've already created a metabolic adaptation that even that reduction you're at is still not low enough. And your body's like, you brought me down so low, like I can't function the way you want to function until you heal me, right? So if you find that you're doing things, you're intentional, you can even be exercising, doing this, and your body's not changing, it's because you probably already created a metabolic adaptation. And it's not gonna change until you heal your metabolism. You dragged it too low already. Delayed muscle and energy recovery. So if you work out, anytime you work out, you're sore for days. Every time you work out, days at a time, your joints are stiff, your muscles are sore. You're probably not consuming enough protein, and your metabolism is slowed down. Right? So that could be another sign of a slow metabolism.
Is that you work out and you're sore for days?
All the time. Every time you work out, you're always sore.
Mm-hmm. That's
right?
what you said. That's because you're not.
That could be a sign of a slow metabolism. That your body's not able to heal fast enough. Right? What's
a source of protein that you recommend? A good source of protein.
So I mean, you can have this several. I mean, so there's from chicken, fish. Personally, I don't do beef, but you know, there's studies that show that beef still just has quality protein in it. Same thing with pork. So when it comes for vegans and vegetarians, and they get their protein from like grains and things like that, they have a little bit more of a challenge as they need to combine multiple grains to get like all the protein that can be provided in meat. Like usually meat is going to provide the amino acids. So amino acids is what makes the protein. So usually in meat it has all the amino acids that you need. But in grains and things that vegetarians do, they have to blend different grains and they have to know which grains have what to get like all the amino acids. But you can do it. It's not like you can't. There's a lot of bodybuilder vegans that are out there. They just have to know what they're getting their amino acids in all of their protein. So there isn't necessarily, I would say, there's only one or there's a best. It depends on your lifestyle, right? It really depends on your lifestyle.
Protein drinks?
Protein supplements are fine as well, right? But here's the thing, like I wouldn't rely on just one source anyway, right? So I do protein shakes, but I also eat chicken, I also eat fish, you know, I eat turkey, right? Like I eat other things so that I can get variety amount of protein because all these different proteins are going to have different amino acid profiles. And I want to make sure I get a wide range of amino acids, right? And that's really what you're trying to get. Like we say protein, but protein is literally just a bunch of amino acids that we want to make sure that we're trying to consume. So you want to get a range of those amino acids. Digestive issues. So that could be another sign, right? Because a part of protein, a part of the metabolism is the getting rid of waste. So if you're constipated a lot, right? That could be a sign that you have some form of your metabolism slowed down. Bloating, irregular bowel movements, right? Some days you can go, some days you can't, right? All of these things are potential signs of a slow metabolism, not being able to properly get rid of waste in a timely manner. Decreased muscle mass, right? If you realize you could be working out, same thing, you could be working out, but you realize you're not really gaining any muscle, right? Your metabolism could have slowed down a little, right? So that's another sign. Just notice if you can see, you take a photo in the mirror, like, man, I've got less muscle on me. Your metabolism, that could be a sign that it's slowing down. Improve cognitive functioning. So another sign of a slow metabolism is that you just can't think as clearly. Your brain fog, right? Those types of things. Difficulty concentrating, memory problems, right? These are all potential signs of a slowed down metabolism, all right? So what do you do to reverse it, right? So it really comes down to three main things that you have to do. One, you have to do what's called reverse dieting. Right, so this is the opposite of what everyone is told to do, where you're trying to have these caloric restrictions, where now you want to eat what we call maintenance, right? So, for example, I'm just shooting a number on top of my head, but for a 50-year-old male who is, let's say, 5'10", 180 pounds, his metabolic needs might be like 2,100 calories a day. Right? This is an estimation. So maybe 2,100 calories a day, right? So if this individual has been eating like 1,500 or 1,200 calories a day, right? He's probably created some type of metabolic adaptation. So to heal his metabolism, he needs to start eating back closer to that 2100. Now, usually I work with someone and I want to first see, like, give them a week of just where they're at, and I want them to track it. So I know, okay, you're around, let's just say 1400. That's what you're doing. This is your normal way of eating. You're at 1400. I'm not going to say go to 1400 to 2100. Like, let's go to 1400, let's try and be consistent at like 1650, 1700. Let's gradually build your metabolism up, right? Let's gradually start getting you used to eating more foods. Because remember, your metabolism has adapted to you not eating as much. Your stomach size has adapted to you not having as much food in it and breaking down. So you can't go from 14 to 2100 and then expect no complications. You have to do it gradually, right? So you need to incrementally increase your nutritional intake so that your body can properly adjust and you don't have other complications. And also think it's good because you can see how your body responds at certain calorie intervals, right? So it's good to do that, to give you that opportunity to kind of see, like, when you're at 1800, well, this is how I feel, right? You can kind of compare. So I personally like doing it in increments. I don't like just throwing people up, say, oh, this is what you're supposed to eat. You gotta eat this much, and just throwing them into it. For me, it's more about a lifestyle instead of trying to do something rapid overnight change. So that's number one, right? The reverse diet, which also comes along with increasing your hydration, making sure you're drinking enough water as well, right? Because a lot of times we're dehydrated when we realize it. So that's a part of the reverse diet. And then it comes into strength training. Shoot.
Sorry, I gotta start going, but I just wanted to tell you, like, what you were saying. Very helpful.
Appreciate it.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
So the strength training, that's the next thing. So we're talking about, very traditional strength training, nothing fancy. I ain't talking about no silly burpees and doing it. I'm talking about basic strength training, basic building your chest, basic building your back. I'm talking about push-ups, bench press, dumbbell bench press, lat pull down, pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, regular squats, deadlifts, lunges, like the basics. You don't have to get fancy. You just have to gradually increase the intensity, aka more weights. As simple as that. It's nothing, there's no quick one exercise, it doesn't work like that.
So I max out all the little machines. The machine might max out at 400, 300. One machine's like 500. Would you suggest
leg press?
Leg press I do like 5 to 7. But that's free weights. That's all I ask. Machine wise and free weights. I know. That's what I'm saying. What do you suggest on that?
Oh, I mean,
right now I'm doing machines only because I hurt myself at another gym where the machine broke and it flipped me and got concussion. So I literally, this side and this side hurts when I try to do the free weights. So being that's the case, I've been strictly sticking with the machines.
Right.
I do my Tai Chi and stuff just to keep everything moving and the blood flowing and keep my mind right.
Yeah.
But what do you suggest? More weight, more free weights? Because my routine was push-ups, pull-ups, and dips before gym.
Right.
Push-ups, pull-ups, and dips. That's how I stay in shape.
Right.
And track.
Right. So, being that it sounds like there is some form of an imbalance / injury from whatever occurred.
That happened in 2021.
Right. Well, it's still gonna be lingering. It's gonna be scar tissue.
Definitely.
Right. So, with that, that's a little different, right? But let's say you didn't experience that, right? Let's exclude for that. Ultimately, you're going to build more muscle with free weights, right? Because you have to remember these machines, they're on a track. So the stabilizing muscles that are required when it's free weights, they're taken away because the stabilization is the machine. The machine's going to follow this path. No matter how weak you are or how much you're struggling, it's going to go in this one path. But if you got dumbbells and you struggle, you're all over here. So all of that is different muscles are going to have to fire to stabilize that movement of the body, right? So ultimately, right, you want to move away from machines and start getting more free weight exercises in there to help your body build more lean muscle tissue. If you're injured though, you have some type of issue going on, then you need to be mindful of what you should and should not do based on whatever that imbalance, that injury is when you start entering in the free weight round.
I'm going to introduce at least one day about a week. I'm going to do at least some free weights. Just free weights.
Right. So, just off the rip, I don't know exactly what the issue is, but what I would focus on is I probably would still do some of the machines, but Did you ever get an MRI or anything like that? Have you
I
been
did the
diagnosed?
MRI, they didn't find no blood on the brain. So that was the good part.
Okay.
After that, everything was just lawyers, and I let them figure this
So
out.
they didn't do anything that what you're
They
saying
did
like
the tests, they did this, they basically said go back to your routines. I was working out. I was literally in the
Right.
gym and I got hurt. So they said my sports doctor, I had to go to a sports doctor because they specialize in concussions because of sports.
Right.
And when they told me to go back to my routine so my body can get used to back in the flow of it.
Right.
So I started doing it. I'm talking about 2 years later. Now, right here,
Okay.
and right here, when the snow hadn't fell since 2021. So as soon as that snow fell, for some reason,
It's
I
probably
had a
developed some
problem here,
arthritis or something.
problem here, and I'm sitting there like, and the lawyer said that this normally happens later on. It doesn't happen exactly when it happens because your body's not used to it. But when your body settles, that's when everything starts happening. So I'm like, I'm still doing my workout,
Right.
but I intensity. So I max out all my machines. All the machines I work on, I max out. I was thinking about going to the free weights again, like chest press and dumbbells. I used to do the rows. You know,
Yeah.
all of it. I just couldn't do it based on I didn't want to hurt myself further.
Nah, that's
Oh,
not
do it.
smart. That's smart. So
That's
but-
for me personally.
Nah.
The doctor didn't say nothing. I just know that there's a difference between stressing the muscle out and there's a difference between hurting the muscle and doing more damage. You don't want to tear some stuff
Yeah,
and you
want
can't
to-
repair.
Right, right. And specifically the areas you pointed to too, especially you pointed to your hip
Yeah,
flexor.
it's right here.
Yeah, it's
I
right.
can't
It's
do
like
this,
hip
man.
flexor
This
going-
hurts.
yeah,
Hurts
yeah.
like heck right now.
So what I would do, I would work on that stuff first. Like, to be honest with you. So I mean, I don't know exactly what you did. I mean, I have to do a full assessment. But for me, like, I'd go in there and do some soft tissue mobilization, like that's like foam rolling, right? I play with some stretches, see how the stretches feel. But then I'm gonna do what's called muscular endurance training. So let's just say hip flexor, throw that for example. I'm gonna do something really significantly low impact that I can do like 15, 20 reps. And I'm just gonna focus on that mind-body connection. Like, what exactly am I feeling in here? And is this movement I'm doing, after I'm doing it over time, is it getting a little bit better, or is it actually getting worse? So that I can start being more mindful of that healing journey that's going on in there. So I wouldn't just jump to doing squats immediately because there's too many muscles I gotta pay attention to. I'm gonna isolate this one by itself in a very low impactful way. So if I am doing something that's hurting it, I'm not doing it in a high intensity where it's like a big injury happens. It's something that it may hurt for like another day or two. It's gonna go away because I was doing something really low impact on it. So it could be something like a leg lift. Next day, like 20, 25 of those and see how it starts to feel. Monitor it over a couple of days, go back to the gym, like, oh, that actually felt good. I'm like, I got a little more mobility. And do that again, right? And then gradually, I'm gonna start adding some additional stuff. You raise your hand? I thought you put your hand.
Do you guys have any questions? If you have any questions, just shoot them out.
Yeah. So that's kind of the approach I would take. Even with the elbow, I would take my time. So, you know, if you're like, my mindset is I'm going to be doing this for another 80 years. I don't need to resolve it tomorrow.
Right.
If it takes me 3 months, 6 months, whatever, because I'm gonna be here anyway, regardless.
This is where I'm at. This is
Right.
where I'm staying at based on, like, I like my routine of staying healthy. I like cook, like, for the family, my wife likes the processed food, and obviously my son likes the little chicken nugget french fries.
Right.
But for me, I'm a chicken fanatic. I got the quarters, I got the every once in a while I do a fried chicken, I got a little rotisserie thing, so I do mainly chicken and pork. The beef, hamburgers, but I do no bread, just hamburger with the onions and bell peppers and, you know, chef it up.
Right. Okay. That sounds good. Well, that sounds good. So the last thing, right, when it comes to like healing your metabolism, we covered reverse diet, we covered the strength training. So now we get into the cardiovascular component of it. But you want to do your cardiovascular focusing more on performance. A lot of times people do cardio, they just want to sweat, makes them feel good, makes them feel accomplished, like they've done something. That's cool, but your cardio should have goals, right? So if we're speaking about, let's make it simple, running, right? So if you're running, you're doing one or two things primarily with your heart. You're either training your heart to sustain a longer period of time of constant movement, it's endurance, or you're training your heart to be more powerful, for it to pump blood through your body really fast, like sprinting or other high intensity similar type of exercises, right? So you're doing one or the other, right? they a lot of times they market, oh, you're doing all this all at once. You can't. Cellularly, you cannot. Hence why you've never seen a world-class sprinter try to run a marathon. And you've never seen a marathon winner try to run a sprint. Your body can't do both at the same time. So you're either training for one or you're training for the other. A lot of times what we're